Today, I want to talk about West Coast Racers, the premier ride's multi-launch coaster at Six Flags Magic Mountain. The park essentially combined two of their most popular rides together. You have the same ride system as Full Throttle and the Dueling of Twisted Colossus. Originally marketed as a new for 2019 edition, it's debatable if West Coast Racers even opened in 2019. Due to much publicized construction delays, the coaster only managed to open at the end of 2019 for member previews. The official opening wasn't until the second week of 2020. So whether it's new for 2019 or new for 2020 is debatable, but most people seem to agree it's a really fun ride, and I'm in the same boat. To start, West Coast Racers looks fantastic. In fact, the coaster's entire area looks fantastic. West Coast Racers came with an all-new area known as the Underground that glorifies street racing. And it makes sense Six Flags would nail this theme. After all, look at their extensive history of building parking lot coasters. All kidding aside, Six Flags really did a nice job theming this ride. Just look at the queue line. You have a model car, screens of mechanics working on cars, and other random auto shop paraphernalia. Now let's talk about the trains. While I generally love Premier Rides roller coasters, I despise their trains. More specifically, I despise getting in and out of their trains. If you thought Full Throttle was annoying enough to board, West Coast Racers adds another layer of complexity with those dreaded comfort collars. However, I may be in the minority here. I don't think the comfort collars impact the ride experience at all. I don't even recall hitting them once. They just really slow down load times. And this is where the slow load times come into play. One of the biggest criticisms of Twisted Colossus is the fact it doesn't always duel. West Coast Racers fixes that. You are always guaranteed to duel. And how does the park achieve this? By parking the riders in a pit stop between the first and second halves. People seem mixed about this stoppage. On one hand, it's nice to always duel. On the other hand, the stoppage can take quite some time if the ride crew isn't quickly dispatching trains. My thoughts? I really like the pit stop. If the alternative is to rocket through the entire course and ultimately get parked on a final brake run, skipping dueling along the way, I'll happily take that lightly themed intermission that guarantees an improved ride experience. Because that dueling is what makes West Coast Racers special. It's also worth noting, as of early 2020, Six Flags Magic Mountain does not guarantee preferred seating. From what I observed, they will honor seating requests so long as the queue doesn't back up too much for a specific row. But after riding several times, this is one of those rare coasters I didn't have a preference where I sat. Every row was equally as fun. Moving on to the ride, West Coast Racers starts with a launch. This launch may start off slow, but it starts packing a punch towards the end. And that leads into the best element on the ride by far, the high five. Twisted Colossus has a high five as well, but this one is far more intense. This one has powerful sideways ejector airtime. It reminded me most of the wave turn on Twisted Cyclone. But during this wave turn, you're getting this awesome near miss with the other train. And best of all, you get to experience this element twice, once on each side. On the white side, this high five is followed by a 0G stall, the first of 4 inversions on West Coast Racers. All of the inversions on this coaster are very floaty, which is something I love with lap bar only trains. Meanwhile, the yellow side will create this near miss as a coast over this little airtime hill. In general, the airtime hills in West Coast Racers are pretty weak outside of that high five, but the countless near misses more than make up for this fact. Both sides then dive into the second launch. While the drops into the launches may look identical, they feel quite different. The white side delivers some nice floater airtime into this element, but the yellow side oddly has no airtime. The second launch is more like a speed boost, and like the first launch, it has this really nice kick at the end of it. Both sides then crawl through these elongated corkscrews ripe with hang time. That's followed by the spaghetti bowl portion of the ride. The yellow side has some really powerful G's at the start of this section, but mellows out towards the end. The white side is the opposite. And then each side has this tiny hill with an itty bitty pinch of airtime mixed in. That then leads into the final near miss. The yellow side has yet another floaty corkscrew, while the white side just sort of coasts underneath it. And I'm definitely glad the yellow side gets the final inversion so the coaster can end with a bang. So, was West Coast Racers worth all the wait? Absolutely. I'd rank the coaster an 8.5 out of 10. The constant near misses and diverse set of elements really makes West Coast racers stand out. It may not be the most intense coaster in the world outside of that impressive high five element, but it's simply pure fun. Have you ridden West Coast racers? I'd love to hear your comments about Six Flags Magic Mountain's newest roller coaster below. Thanks for listening and look forward to more ride reviews from Canby Coaster coming through the year.